from WBAY TV. Coverage you can count on. Action 2 News this morning starts now.
Oh, historic weekend snowstorm it was. National Weather Service says it's the all-time second largest snowstorm in Green Bay.
Also the most snow Green Bay has ever seen in the month of April, and a lot of people working so hard. The plow crews out there to clear the snow. We are tracking the road conditions for you. Let's get right over to Chief Meteorologist Steve Bailey. You've been hard at work all weekend.
Yeah, it's been a busy weekend, and I tell you, I'm just glad, and like you, this snowstorm is going to be winding down today. There's still some snow showers for your Monday, but we're only expecting minor additional accumulations. Blustery with those northwest winds kicking up a fuss. We'll still have some areas of blowing and drifting snow. Plenty of clouds and a high of 33 degrees. For another hour, much of northeast Wisconsin's under a winter weather advisory. That is a downgrade from that blizzard warning that was from the valley and over towards the waters of Green Bay. We do have some snow showers from Sturgeon Bay and southwest right now. This could be a minor nuisance for the morning commute. In general, though, your severe weather outlook is moderate on this weather aware day because of the tremendous snowfall over the weekend. Road conditions are especially poor in rural areas and lesser traveled roads. And again, you got to watch out for blowing and drifting in rural areas. So this was a whopper of a snowstorm. Number 2 on Green Bay's biggest snowstorm list at 23.7 inches. And there were some folks to the north and west that got even more than that. And coming up at 6:14, we'll have some other snowfall totals from across the area. And we'll show you the 7-day forecast, which has a slow warm up as the week moves along. Kevin and Tammy.
All right, and check out all the school and business closings at the bottom of the screen at WBAY.com or on the WBAY app.
Yeah, and if you're not sure if where you're going is open today, definitely want to call ahead. Let's get right out now to Kristen Allen live on the roads this morning. Crews are working there to get the snow out of your way. Look at those road conditions. Kristen, good morning.
Good morning. We are on Velp right now, heading towards Swamico, and Velp is pretty snow covered right now. Traffic, this car coming up alongside of us is going rather slow. We're going about 10 under the speed limit. It's not very clear at all. Probably one of the more snow-covered roads, in fact, that we've seen as we've been out and about this morning. You can't really see any clearing on it. So it is a little bit snow-covered. Here's one little tiny patch that you see a little bit of clearing. But yeah, definitely one of the more snow-covered roads. And we're getting to this roundabout here that looks very snow-covered as well. Yeah, you can see there's some tire tracks, a little bit of clearing, but still very snow-covered. So we have seen a lot of salt trucks and plows out this morning, but they still have a lot of work to do ahead of them. A lot of the roads are starting to look a little bit better, a lot of the main roads in the Green Bay area, but they still have, that thin coating of snow. And even though they may not be drifted or have, feet of snow piled deep on them, they are still a bit snow covered. That's one thing to take into consideration as you head out to work or wherever you may need to go this morning. Back to you.
It is just going to be a rough Monday morning commute. We're hoping that not as many people need to head out this morning. Take a look, Highway 29 right now, that is slow west of Green Bay. And then in the valley, you can see 41 southbound heading into the 10-441 interchange. That's a slow spot as well. But really, anywhere you go around northeast Wisconsin, you're going to run into slippery roads. Look at these conditions from the Department of Transportation. Red means ice covered, blue snow covered, and then black. You can see Highway 10 west of Fremont and 21 roughly west of Red Granite. Those highways, it's advised that you do not travel on them right now. That's how bad things still are. Let's take a look live at our Department of Transportation cameras. Here's the Fond du Lac area, 41 at Highway 23. The road looks a bit clearer there, but we just got a report from a viewer, Kay, who said she drove from Oshkosh to Appleton, so northbound on 41, and she said basically she couldn't even see the left lane. There was no left lane because it was still snow covered. So if you must head out this morning, be sure to leave yourself a lot of extra time.
Thanks, Catherine. Some of the deepest snowfall totals in Shawano County. Look at this picture shared by the Sheriff's Office of a home in Tigerton. On the left, this is the snow depth Saturday, already nearly 2 feet. And then on the right, that's yesterday. The door is open. That is the snow that drifted to the top of the door frame. And that door frame perfectly imprinted in the snow. Wow.
Yeah, well, reports of 33 inches of snow in some parts of Shawano County. Wow. Even the plows who came to our rescue had a tough time in the worst of this storm because sometimes the plow trucks get stuck too, like that one right there. Video taken by Debbie Ross shows the plow truck driver stuck. This is in Howard. and it says it took about an hour to get it unstuck.
And the storm leaving a lot of damage around northeast Wisconsin. A viewer sent us these pictures of the car ferry dock in Manitowoc, and you can see the pavement is damaged. And new this morning, Fond du Lac Fire and Rescue puts out a fire during the blizzard. This happened on North Hickory Street. Firefighters say it was an electrical fire they were able to put out quickly. No one was hurt, but they plan to talk to people in the area today about smoke detectors and fire safety. And now to the fun part. Yeah, there is some fun in the snow this weekend.
If you get past the shoveling. Yeah. Throughout the weekend, you folks are sending us hundreds of amazing pictures and videos. We want to share some of our faves.
Try to make some fun out of this. These kids, they like the snow. These are 4-year-old triplets, and oh, they're just darling. The video was sent to us by Sarah Fredrickson. This is in Denmark.
And here's a unique way to spend a snow day. This is Jaden. So Carrie sent us this picture, a lemonade stand during the blizzard. Way to go, Jaden.
Or lemonade slushies. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, and how about this one too? Aussie Doodle Dasher. He's actually belongs to our reporter, Sarah Gillespie, and sports producer Matt Hippis. It's their new puppy. And loving the snow. Hippie hop, hippie hop, hippie hop. And it's loving it.
Animals and kids had so much fun in the snow, didn't they?
They did.
All right, we have more pictures to share later in the snow and more coverage of our historic snowstorm.
Still ahead, Steve has your extended forecast, and I'll have a check on time saver traffic as crews, thank you to all of you, keep cleaning up from the storm.
Good Monday morning, and thanks for spending some time with us. We've got a live view in downtown Manitowoc where our temperature at 6:09 is 27 degrees, wind chill 15. Roads look partially to mostly snowpacked. They've been worked on overnight by the road crews, and they're continuing to go out there and plow. But I'll tell you, in rural areas, it's not going to be as nice. You want to give yourself a lot of extra travel time if you can help it. Snow Tracker is still showing snow across the area, but this is a lot lighter compared to the blizzard that raged over the weekend. We've got some light snow from Sturgeon Bay and southwest, and we've got the winds whipping in around the backside of this storm system, generally out of the north and northwest around 10 to 15 miles an hour. That's going to cause some areas of blowing and drifting snow. So here's your travel weather, and you can see that it's going to be slippery with some snow drifts, especially in open country. Slippery conditions through this afternoon and into this evening, but later tonight and into tomorrow, road conditions will probably be noticeably better as the crews catch up to the massive snow amounts. Next 24 hours, snow showers, slippery roads, a weather-aware day with a high temperature of 33 degrees. Kevin.
All right, thanks, Steve. A story you're going to hear more about today on GMA. Protesters expected to gather at a Philadelphia Starbucks this morning as outrage grows from a video of 2 black men being escorted out by police in handcuffs. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
In this morning's GMA First Look, outrage is brewing at this Philadelphia Starbucks over this viral video showing 2 black men escorted out by police in handcuffs.
Well, what did they do? What did they do? Did someone tell me what they did?
Police say the men were sitting at a table without making a purchase, and when asked to leave, they refused. That's when an employee called 911, reporting the incident as trespassing. Witnesses, including this businessman who the real estate brokers were about to meet with, say the men were discriminated against for being black.
What did they get called for? Because there are 2 black guys sitting here meeting me?
But Philadelphia's police commissioner says his officers did everything by the book.
These officers did absolutely nothing wrong. They followed policy. They did what they were supposed to do.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have an exclusive interview with Starbucks CEO Kevin Johnson. With your GMA First Look, I'm Lindsay Davis, ABC News, New York.
Time Saver Traffic, sponsored by North Star Mohican Casino Resort. There's more of what you're looking for at North Star Mohican Casino Resort.
Hi everyone, I want to start with drive times because we are seeing slow traffic around the Green Bay area, and it is wise to take it slow this morning. It's going to take you longer to get wherever you need to go. Check this out. On 172 across town, normally that drive in good conditions takes about 5 minutes, and you can see heading westbound right now it's taking almost twice as long. Let's take a look at the drive times now in the valley around the Appleton area. They look fairly normal. 441 from 41 to the Little Lake Butemoor Bridge is a couple minutes slower right now, but otherwise they look okay. Take a look at our Department of Transportation cameras if you can. You can barely see through there. 441 at College Avenue on the east side. Here's 172 near the Fox River Bridge, and you can see, if we can take out our bottom ticker there, you can see which camera this is. You can see the car tracks cutting through that snow. Not quite as snow covered here, 41 at Northland Avenue, but the bottom line, Steve, the roads are just not good this morning.
No, and these are roads that are heavily traveled. You can imagine what it's like in rural areas, the lesser traveled roads. It is going to be very, very difficult. And because of this, it is a weather aware day. Now, over the weekend, it was a severe weather alert as we were dealing with that horrible blizzard in northeast Wisconsin, but now we just have some lighter snow showers for your Monday, only minor additional accumulations. Plenty of clouds, a high of 33, blustery northwest winds could cause some blowing and drifting snow. We're under a winter weather advisory, but it's going to expire soon at 7 a.m. But look at this. We've had some historic snowfall totals across northeast Wisconsin. Shawano, 33 inches. Wapaka, 28.5. 16.5 in Appleton, and the 23.7 in Green Bay, second highest ever for the city since weather records have been kept in the 1880s. Snow reports across the area. Tigerton almost 30 inches, 29 in Shiocton and Sobieski, and De Pere 21.3 inches of snow. So the snow showers that we have right now, they're just peanuts compared to what we had to deal with over the weekend. The snow is winding down as this monster storm system pushes away from us towards the east coast. Look at that, it's dumping some heavy rain from New York State and Pennsylvania to the southeastern United States, where they've had some severe weather, some tornadoes over the weekend. On the backside of this departing storm, a brisk to blustery northwest wind around 10 to 15 miles an hour. That could cause the blowing and drifting snow in rural areas. Temperature-wise, we're at 26 degrees in Oconto, but your wind chill is 18. So most of our temperatures are in the 20s, and most of our wind chills are in the teens. Shawano's got a feel-like temperature of 21 and 20 in Wapaka. Time for Pinpoint Predictor. High temperatures later today in the lower half of the 30s, with upper 20s in north central Wisconsin. High of 31 today in Lakewood. But that wind, it's still rather strong. Thankfully, not quite as fierce as what we had to deal with Saturday and Sunday, but with a northwest wind around 15 to 25 miles an hour, blowing and drifting snow is still a possibility. Scattered snow showers through the morning into the early afternoon on Pinpoint Predictor, but by 4 p.m. it's tapering to some stray flakes. Clouds will hang in there, and probably tonight as well. Tonight looks mostly cloudy, but as we head into Tuesday, we should see the clouds breaking up enough for a partly sunny sky. Your severe weather outlook is moderate today because of the road conditions. Very low for better weather for tomorrow, and then Wednesday in the low category, as Wednesday could have a spotty wintry mix. Right now, cloudy, light snow in Green Bay. Temperature is 26 degrees, wind chill 16 with a northwest wind at 12 miles an hour. Today, be weather aware for slippery travel due to some snow showers and all the snow we had over the weekend. Blowing and drifting and blustery with a high of 33. Tonight, mostly cloudy with stray flakes, brisk northwest winds, low of 21 for Green Bay and the Fox Cities. And there's the 7-day forecast with rain or a mix on Wednesday and Wednesday night. Otherwise, there's a gradual warm-up. Late in the week, highs will be in the 40s, and we could hit a 50 on Sunday. Tammy and Kevin.
Thanks, Steve. Everybody trying to get back to normal, and in the air, flights need to get caught up after a lot of delays and cancellations. This is one of the United flights that made it out of Appleton International Airport yesterday.
So this morning, both Appleton International and Austin Straubel are showing most flights on time, but there are a handful of delays, and the first flight by United from Minneapolis to Austin Straubel this morning already was canceled, but obviously check in advance. Strong storms moving up the east coast overnight. Winds damaging dozens of homes and businesses in Virginia overnight. 6 people went to the hospital, but all are expected to survive. Storms over the weekend also causing damage in Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi.
And it was a dangerous weekend in Oklahoma where crews battled several large wildfires. Emergency management officials say people evacuated from one small town can now go back home. They say the fire there is still burning, but it's not a threat anymore. Oklahoma Forestry Services say that wildfires in the state have burned more than 400 acres.
Former First Lady Barbara Bush is no longer seeking additional medical treatment. A family spokesperson says Bush's health is failing, and she made that decision after talking to her family and doctors. Barbara Bush's spokesperson says she is staying at her home in Houston now and will focus on comfort care. Barbara Bush is 92 years old, says she appreciates all the kind messages and prayers. Coming up, we'll be sharing more of your photos and videos of the massive storm and how some of you made the most of it during the weekend blizzard, including this person.
Storm Center 2 weather with Chief Meteorologist Steve Balon. Brought to you by Tundraland Sunrooms, Baths, and Replacement Windows.
Oh, welcome back. So it has been quite a weekend, hasn't it? And we have loved looking at all of the creative pictures and videos that you send to us during our historic.
Yeah, we're going to show you some of them. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're going to show you some of those this morning. Here's our horsey video. This is sent by Jen, from Jen in Shawano County. It says her pony Gertie went outside Saturday, didn't like what she saw, and said, "No, thank you. Leave the gate open. I'm coming back out of here. Why did you send me out here in the first place?"
I'm with Gertie. That's smart. And then check out this brave soul in Crivets. Sarah sent us this video of her brother Scott not letting the blizzard stop him from snow and water skiing down the hill there.
Oh, and how about this guy? Knows how to enjoy a snow day. Just put on your shorts, right? Michael Curry tweeted this to us from Kiel. Just a casual day, hanging out by the fire pit, feet up.
I saw a lot of people snow shoveling in flip-flops Sunday.
What?
And I thought, no, I didn't.
Oh, I was like,
kidding.
seriously?
I will say though,
Maybe he was.
sometimes it takes insane amounts of snow to get the little bit of the weirdness out of people, and in some pictures.
Well, and on April, April
Right.
15th, like
Yeah.
we're all feeling weird.
yeah, right.
We thought the tax deadline was what we had to worry about in April.
Yeah.
And now this.
You just alarmed a whole bunch of people who are like, "Oh my goodness, that's
right.
tomorrow."
That's right. I've been snow shoveling so much I forgot to do my taxes. Yes.
Okay, so we still have snow in the area, but at least it's a lot lighter. I mean, we're talking about now minor accumulations on top of all those inches or feet that you got over the weekend. The light snow right now from Sturgeon Bay and to the south and west. So, looking ahead, the next 24 hours, it's a weather wear day because the road conditions are still poor in a lot of areas. Snow showers, high of 33. Tonight, a low of 21, mostly cloudy with some stray flakes. And here's the 7-day forecast. We'll keep an eye on a mix or some rain Wednesday into Wednesday night, but otherwise, the flavor of the week is a very slow warm-up into next weekend. Tammy and Kevin.
We have more coming up on the historic snowstorm, covering it all morning.
Yeah, coming up after the break, Chris is back out with a check on those road conditions for him before you head out if you have to head to work. And Catherine is going to be letting you know about any driving slowdowns to watch for in time-saver traffic.
And former FBI Director James Comey's first interview since he was fired last year. His interview last night on ABC, and why Comey says President Trump is morally unfit for office.
And here's the result. It is what it is. It's the luck of the draw. And now we have to turn around and repair it.
Just last week, this view was hard for Greg Ludwig to take in.
Until it pushed straight through.
As ice shoves crashed through the window of this cottage in the town of Union, causing thousands of dollars in damage.
It traveled a long way it came.
Now he's worried it might happen again, even after clearing out as much ice as possible this week.
There's a number of delays and cancellations as crews work to plow the runways so planes can safely take off and land. Highway crews across northeast Wisconsin have been out in full force overnight into this morning as well, working to keep up.
And right now we're standing in Lambeau Field, but who would have guessed that April at Lambeau Field would include 15.2 inches of snow and snow piles as far as the eye can see.
We couldn't keep track of all the vehicles stuck on the side of the road, but plenty of Good Samaritans passing by were willing and able to help.
Kevin and I were out just driving around, making sure everybody's safe. We're pulling people out, helping with a shovel, throwing our hazards on, again, just being out there and taking care of our community.
Beyond the dozens of vehicles snowed in, 3 area buildings had roof collapses due to the snow accumulations.
We haven't seen snow amounts in this in years, and then on top of that with the heavy moisture content, and any kind of structural issue is only going to be multiplied with what's going on.
Namely the Econo Lodge in Green Bay, where the roof caved in over the pool. No one was injured, but 65 people were relocated to another hotel. After that, a building in a Schwabenon's business park faced another collapse, where responders tell us all that's left to do now is wait for it to fall.
Whether you're a business owner or even residential owners, don't be going up in the roofs. The roofs have got a tremendous amount of weight on them because of the water, freezing water, and then with the huge accumulation of snow.
This is the snow around Shawano High School, where nearly 30 inches of snow fell.
Manager Brian Jinks tells me there was an 8-foot snowdrift on top of their roof. Jinks says this weekend was one of the worst snowstorms he's seen since the store opened almost 10 years ago.
We've had drifts up there before, but we've never had this much wet snow at one time. It's just the weight of it caved it in.
Sure, you get 6 feet of snow, you imagine trying to shovel it all, that's all on top of your roof. Every single shovelful you throw off is that much weight on top of a roof. So it can be a lot, it can be a really lot, especially with as heavy as it is this time. It's not like light blowing snow.
Roofing professionals say flat roofs can't handle as much snow as slanted roofs.
If you have a pretty good pitch on your roof, normally the snow is going to blow off, and normally it's strong enough to support it. But if you have a long, flat area that is holding on to a lot of snow, that's where you could get snagging.
There's a lot of steel and structure damage that's going to have to be fixed. But yeah, we can definitely get them in the roofing.
Culbertson advises home and business owners never go up on their roof to clean snow off. He also warns of melting snow on the roof causing leaks.
Yeah, I mean, especially as when it starts to warm up here, if your gutters are clogged, you get all that snow on the roof, all of a sudden it starts backing up into your house, backing up into the roofs. You know, that should have been something you should have looked at earlier before winter hit, that you should have made sure your gutters are clean.
Culbertson says, again, the one thing to remember is to never go up on your roof to try to get that snow off. If you do have tricky areas where you do need to get that snow off, please contact a professional. Reporting in Howard, Sharon Bajenda, Action 2 News.
Just after midnight Saturday morning, Alyssa Champagne knew it was time.
I just remember looking outside and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, we're gonna leave right now?
The two set off in whiteout conditions. Jason white-knuckle driving the 50 miles from Pound to St. Mary's Hospital in Green Bay.
We fishtailed one time, maybe got out of the tracks a little bit because the plows had not gone through yet on the highway.
There was like no visibility. You know, we're talking like 5 feet in front of you is all that you could see.
I was getting a little nervous. I know, probably more nervous than he's ever seen me, because I'm like, slow down, slow down. He's already going 25, and I kept telling him, slow down.
What should have taken 45 minutes took twice that.
It seemed like it took forever. Yeah, it was a long, long trek. And the hospital even called us at one point because they were concerned that we hadn't arrived yet.
Yeah.
And they actually had someone shoveling for us just to get into the parking lot.
At 8:52 Saturday night, they welcomed Askren Howard Champagne to make their family of 5.
And it's kind of cool that our little son Askren is now another Blizzard baby, repeating history almost 30 years later at the same hospital, driving from the same town of Pound.
Deja vu for sure, yeah.
Alyssa's mom and dad braved a similar journey to the hospital in December of 1990 when her brother Jameson was born.
I can feel their worries and their pain because I remember those days. It took us an hour and a half from De Pere to St. Mary's, if you can believe it.
And now her daughter, Shirley, can.
Many people living at the Mission Village apartments in Menasha still have big drifts blocking their driveway, leaving them unable to get in and out. Judy Allenstein is among those feeling trapped.
Oh, it's horrible. My son at least shoveled that path for me. And then did you see behind my house? I mean, I understand it was a blizzard. That's very understandable. But they should have been here all 3 days doing at least a little bit at a time.
Action 2 News has been here before. In December of 2015, residents also contacted us with concerns about snow removal not taking place right away after a major storm. I did speak to the property manager. She did not wish to go on camera, but told us there is an equipment failure with the plow company contracted to do the site. As a result, they've had to rely on other options. For now, they're asking residents to be patient, but those that live there say they're concerned.
Well, the thing I worry about is if someone needed an ambulance in here, because we're all senior citizens. They would have never gotten in.
We've had nurses that have to come in here daily to take care of some of the residents in here. They couldn't get in. They had to walk in from the road, from the main entrance. Nurses, I mean, they're here to help you and they can't get in here.
Reporting in Menasha, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
When there's this much snow in April, it's the little things that matter. like your snowblower starting up. For Green Bay resident Scott Kelsey, it's also seeing sidewalks cleared in front of houses.
I had to walk on the street the whole way.
Because his van was snowed in, Kelsey walked to and from work this weekend, most of the time having to take the street.
A little nerve-wracking, but not too bad because fortunately there weren't a lot of people on the roads. Just had to make sure that I kept an eye out and made sure that nobody was coming up behind me.
Knowing what it's like and who usually walks through his area.
There's a lot of people from Bellin and St. Vincent that would generally walk through here.
Kelsey made his sidewalks a priority this weekend, even after his shift.
Saturday night, after I got done with work, I was out here at about midnight just trying to make sure that there was a path cleared down the sidewalk.
Green Bay City Ordinance says homeowners should have their sidewalks cleared within 24 hours of the end of the snow event.
Tornado warning for southwestern Fond du Lac County and northeastern Dodge County until 4:30. At 3:59, just a minute ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Waupun, moving east at 45 miles per hour. This warning, by the way, is not issued by an eyewitness account. This is radar indicated rotation, which you see right there on Viper. You see where it's rotating. But as I've been saying, and again, this is Viper's future projection, Sheboygan County, this is why I think you're probably going to be next with a tornado warning. So there you are at about 4:33. It's coming into western Sheboygan County. Sheboygan City proper right at 5 p.m. So between now and about 5 p.m., those of you in Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County, I think you will continue to be under the gun. And a new tornado warning, too, just north of there, just popping in there for, that looks like western portions of Manitowoc County, southwestern Manitowoc County, southeastern Calumet County. And again, this is for tornado. This is radar indicated rotation. It's likely where you see that little spinning cylinder there.
And as we've been sitting here, as Brad has been talking, we've been talking, messaging back and forth with some officers here telling widespread around the area, stay off the roads if you can. Heavy rain, as you can see there right now from the Fox Valley, our crews out there, you can see that heavy rain just coming down really across all of the area right now.
And in fact, we just, I think on our Facebook, there was a talk of what a parking lot on Mason Street with water up to the windows.
Water up to the windows there.
Green Bay, Brown County, Ashwaubenon, everybody telling people to stay off the roads if you can. Our Chris Roth, sports director, was over at Lambeau Field for a press conference this afternoon. That's the view from the tunnel. Looking out the players' tunnel there at Lambeau Field, looking onto the field. I believe Ashwaubenon, if I remember hearing Brad right, and this was about a half hour ago, Ashwaubenon had close to 2 inches of rain.
And you can see it's just difficult visibility out there right now as that rain comes down so hard ahead of those tornadoes.
Yeah, and not coming at a great time, as of course the commute home is about to begin, or has begun for some, and will begin for others of us here in the next hour or two. You might want to really think twice about heading out until these storms pass.
Sarah Gillespie live on the east side of Green Bay with how the roads are looking at one particular intersection. Sarah.
Cammie, believe it or not, the rain has actually lessened in the past hour, but behind me is proof that it was steadily pouring down. As you can see, there are 2 vehicles stuck in standing water on Main Street near Lime Kiln. If you take a look at the lawn right here, this is how far up the water actually came from the road, halfway up the North Shore Bank lawn right here. Now, police have closed off the road here on Main and Lime Kiln because, as I said before, this standing water is not safe for anyone. We saw another vehicle that was towed off a couple of minutes before our live shot here, so at least 3 vehicles have been stranded in this. If you are out and about at all today, make sure to avoid standing water. Make sure to drive with your lights on and stay safe out there. Reporting live in Green Bay, Sarah Gillespie, Action 2 News.
Action 2 News has been following severe storms all day, and tonight we are recapping seems to be one of the most damaging storm systems of the summer here in northeast Wisconsin.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. Governor Scott Walker declared a state of emergency for several counties across the state today.
One of those counties right here in our area, Fond du Lac County. Nolan Blair leads off our severe weather coverage tonight after finding what authorities call tornado damage in the Fond du Lac County community in the town of Waupun.
I heard the roar. The owner of Pebble Knolls Dairy believes that roar was a tornado.
He says the damage to his dairy farm that holds more than 600 cows shows the evidence.
Got here and I can't believe what I saw. It is pretty much wiped out.
We have neighbors, farmers, and friends all helping out right now to get these cows onto these trucks where they're being shipped to other farms. Nobody was hurt by the storm on the farm, but the condition of all the cows is not certain.
Some are, it's hard to say at this time. Some of them are buried under the rubble yet. We can't get to them. We're working on it.
And while that work was taking place, friends were making sandwiches so hungry stomachs wouldn't impact the long cleanup ahead.
Just do this. It's in your heart. They all do that here. Yep, that's the way we all do. This is community.
A community supporting a farmer facing a tough reality.
We're not going to milk here for a long time.
In the town of Waupun, Nolan Blair, Action 2 News.
Now to New Holstein, where severe storms caused significant damage there as well, and that's where we find Jason Zimmerman live with more on that. Jason.
Bill, people I spoke to tonight are just in shock over the amount of damage caused by this storm. This is City Hall right behind me, surrounded by fallen trees, and it is no different at the elementary school across the street or down the block in either direction. Just after the heavy rain let up, Nikki Purnell was among the many cleaning up. At her house on Wisconsin Avenue, a huge tree partially collapsed, and some big branches are still dangling above her sidewalk.
My son, I got out here and he goes, Mom, and he goes, we had to call a bunch of people because that tree right there broke into many places. We even have bunches of branches that look like they could even fall down yet. So if we have another big gust of wind, they possibly could fall down in the road yet.
The New Holstein Police Department says the damage covers about a 4-block wide radius, stretching from the city's far west side to the east end. Almost nothing in the path of this storm was spared.
Tornado sirens did go off, and once the wind stopped, we had probably 24 power lines down. We had several trees fall on cars. Some were occupied. No injuries.
While the storm came on quick, many felt there was adequate warning.
We were listening to Channel 2 weather, actually, and watching the storm. Yeah. And I said to my husband, I want to quick go out and get the plants off the front porch because I think it's going to be bad. And with that, the sky was just black, and the wind came, and the sirens went off, and we went to the basement.
The city's hoping to get a better assessment of the storm damage tomorrow morning. I'm told cleanup is expected to take days, if not weeks. Reporting live in New Holstein, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
Jeff Alexander is in Minneapolis for an exclusive interview with Kramer in his hotel just moments after he received that news to describe the magical moment with his family.
Jerry Kramer's quest for Canton began back in 1974. 44 years later, on a snowy evening in Minneapolis, the 11th time as a finalist proved to be the charm. Jerry Kramer is headed for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I told you I was going to give you a hug. How you feeling, Jerry?
Sense of disbelief. You know, I had started to consign myself to defeat. Seemed like the clock was ticking and time was going by, and I was, in my mind, I assumed that if we were early in the morning that we might be some of the earliest notifications. So I figured if we were in, that we would get a notification within 10-15 minutes. And so the whole half hour went by. And then a little more went by. And I'm going, well, it's not to be, you know, it's not going to be. And the room got a little quiet, and people didn't know what to say, and it started to get awkward. And the maid knocked on the door. Wow! So we all rushed the maid, and she going, what is going on? And so we got through that, and it was a few minutes before Mr. Baker arrived and knocked on the door. But he was the most beautiful thing I'd seen in a long time.
On top of the world. I'm so happy and thrilled for Dad. It's we've been waiting for this for a very long time.
To me, it could be the final impact or the final moment of my career, and it's on top of the heap. It's on top of the pile. It's a cherry on the sundae, and it's everything you ever dreamed of as a child.
Loving, loyal fans that were through the thick and thin. Thank you so much for all you gave, everything, and let's have a big party in Canton.
The Packer fans have been sensational with me since day one, and we've had a great relationship, and all I can say is thank you.
He made his way through the line of current Hall of Famers and then took the steps to finally don that gold jacket.
Pro Football Hall of Famer Jerry Kramer.
The only thing left at this time is for you to lead a life of quality and excellence and make this whole world a little bit better place because you were in it. You can if you will. You can if you will.
This Kaukauna landmark getting a facelift thanks to a team that is not afraid of heights. New at 6, Emily Matesic and Skyview 2 give us a bird's eye view of the makeover.
Standing more than 140 feet tall, it's hard to miss the Kaukauna Water Tower, a 5,000-gallon tank. It's one of 2 in the city that supplies water to residents. But it's what's happening on the tower.
It's just amazing to see them guys hanging off the side on cables and stuff.
That's drawing a lot of attention.
It's pretty amazing what they're doing, and I was just mentioning how I saw them welding up there, and that's crazy on a windy day to be doing that. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
Our Skyview 2 drone gives an aerial view of the damage caused by the tornado. The National Weather Service explained its path like this.
Just on the other side of Highway 49, and then that moved across an area of corn that you can see is completely laid down, and then really unfortunately slammed into this farmstead.
Pebble Knolls dairy owner Dick Wetzel says this damage is devastating. Of his 600-plus cattle, 5 are dead and around 20 are injured. The rest were moved to other farms.
Just cleaning up the disaster, that's what it is. Total disaster. We lost basically three barns.
Skyview 2 shows the damage to those barns. The dairy owners say it won't stop them from rebuilding.
We'll get cleaned up and start over, I guess. That's our only option.
The National Weather Service is continuing to survey a wide area for tornado touchdowns. It says this powerful storm left damage from Juneau County all the way to Sheboygan.
Number, please.
For the first time in 14 years, a new voice will make the call on draft night.
The Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers.
Ted Thompson's first ever draft pick is going to Canton, and in the back of the war room that day was then Southeast scout Brian Gutekunst. For years, he helped and then watched Thompson set the draft board. Now, that's his job.
Stuff I've been doing for 20 years, so it has, that part hasn't changed a whole lot. With the exception of at the end of the evaluation period, I'm the one that puts him up there.
And the one making that final call. Only the future knows how good Goody's first pick will be, but we do know this. While being aggressive in other personnel areas, he will practice what Ted preached.
The lifeblood of your team will always come from the draft.
That lifeblood starts pumping Thursday night.
So you ready for the draft? Let's get started.
But Cover 2 Draft Edition starts now.
How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us tonight for Cover 2 Draft Edition. Well, Ted Thompson always said he liked more swings at the plate. His successor, as of right now, has more swings than anybody else. Brian Gutekunst, armed with 12 draft picks heading into his first draft as general manager, and most of those picks will come higher in each round than his predecessor. Now, the Packers have the 14th pick in the first round. That's the highest they will select since 2009, but Goody might be able to go higher if he's willing to deal some of those 12 draft picks. It's possible an early first-round run on quarterbacks could push a player he really covets down to trade range, but before he entertains any of those possibilities, Goody and his staff must properly rank those players.
It's important, especially early on, that you build the board kind of purely and and value-wise, and making sure you're getting the players correct. I think over the last 2 weeks now, we're starting to do more scenario-driven things where, okay, this is the capital we have, and this is where the board is strong. If we are able to move here, this gives us a better, better options than if we stay where we're at. I think there's a little bit more predictability as far as how it's going to fall than when you're way back there.
Josh Jackson, Iowa. He also had some success against the Badgers. What's his skill set?
He takes, this is a really strange story. Here's a guy who didn't play at all hardly his first few years. Last year with Iowa, a whole bunch of turnovers. Had against back-to-back games against Wisconsin, Ohio State, 6 total turnovers. He had the 2 pick sixes against the Badgers. Yeah. He's a bigger guy, not quite as fast as Ward, but takes the ball away. And you've talked to Joe Witt for how many years now? What does Joe Witt like? Guys who take the ball away, right? Mm-hmm.
Jason, Ted Thompson is blank if he drafts a quarterback in the first round.
Foolish. I think that they need to wait later in the draft and get some help that can help them immediately early.
That's outstanding.
Well, he would have been foolish had he taken any of the other quarterbacks.
Too, yeah. Foolish.
Wow, I look so young. Gosh, I look good.
Did you enjoy that?
I did. That was awesome.
Well, an embarrassing home loss to the lowly Arizona Cardinals is Mike McCarthy's final act as head coach of the Packers. The previously 2-9 Cardinals win the noon game, and by 6 p.m. McCarthy was gone. Offensive coordinator Joe Philbin is the interim head coach for these remaining 4 games. Now, the same problems plagued the Packers today: untimely penalties, a lack of takeaways, and most damning for an offensive head coach, an inconsistent offense. The Packers only put up 17 points today and were a terrible 3 of 14 on third downs. The 20-17 loss all but officially eliminates the Packers from the playoffs, a rare place to be with only 4 games to go, something then head coach Mike McCarthy acknowledged after the game.
I've never been in this spot, and I'm not going to act like I know what the hell I'm going to do tomorrow when they get in here. So we're gonna do what we always do. We're going to represent the Packers the right way. I know that. So other than that, we'll focus on what's in front of us.
Well, Packers president Mark Murphy, who according to that power structure he put in place in January, made the decision, released this statement tonight. The 2018 season has not lived up to the expectations and standards of the Green Bay Packers. As a result, I made the difficult decision to relieve Mike McCarthy of his role as head coach effective immediately. Mike's been a terrific head coach and leader of the Packers for 13 seasons, during which time we experienced a great deal of success on and off the field. We want to thank Mike, his wife Jessica, and the rest of the McCarthy family for all that they've done for the Packers and the Green Bay and Wisconsin communities. We'll immediately begin the process of selecting the next head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Well, most of the players had already cleared out of Lambeau when the decision was announced, but the possibility of McCarthy being fired at the end of the season without a playoff appearance certainly increased with every loss.
It's the nature of this business, especially when you have a losing season like this and with such high expectations with the organization like this. It's high standards, and when we fall short of that, it's consequences.
Anytime you miss the playoffs or miss your goal in the season, you know that certain changes will happen. We weren't exactly positive that would happen, but and we are a little bit surprised that it happened now. But it's a business, and it comes down to winning. And we know as a team, we weren't good enough, so it's part of that process.
But Wisconsin is now considering becoming one of the first in the nation to deregulate all services. That's causing some concern for people to hold those licenses. They contacted Target 2 for answers. Sarah Thompson started asking some questions.
This is all happening quickly and rather quietly. If you're one of the people who holds an occupational license with the state, you should have received an email recently asking you to fill out a short survey, asking about your job, the cost of schooling, and the value of your license. Here's the problem. As we started asking people about this, many had no idea what I was talking about, making them concerned a decision will be made quickly without much input. These students are the next generation of electricians, enrolled in the Electrical Construction Apprenticeship Program at NWTC.
We want to make sure that things are done right the first time.
Master electrician and instructor Kevin Wigman sees immeasurable value in education and licensing.
This was behind the wall, done by an unlicensed individual.
A Green Bay City inspector recently gave this mangled mess of wiring to Wigman.
That is a fire waiting to happen.
After finding it hidden in the walls of a new home.
The initiative here to eliminate licensure, here's what you can get. And it's, in my opinion, not a very good idea.
Wigman is baffled. The state is now considering deregulating his industry, no longer requiring electricians to hold a license, something he says guarantees they both know what they're doing and maintain safety.
We all say this is ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense. Why?
Why? Good question. Target 2 discovered this is actually state law, proposed in 2017 by Governor Scott Walker and slightly adjusted by the Republican-controlled legislature as part of the last state budget. It orders the Department of Safety and Professional Services to submit a report to the governor and the legislature by December 31st of this year to determine whether occupational licensing for nearly 250 professions is necessary. DSPS tells Target 2 it's looking at regulations in other states, but will ensure it maintains licenses necessary to protect health and public safety. Target 2 obtained an email to a license holder listing more factors, including possible financial burdens or other barriers preventing people from receiving a license. To get input, the agency created an online survey, open 14 days from November 27th to December 10th. Kathy DeMuth just took it.
To not have a license that is going to ensure that you're competent, that you are providing safe care, is going to jeopardize people's lives.
As a Bellin College assistant professor and registered nurse, DeMuth can't understand why health care would not be regulated.
The medications, always receiving new medications out in practice today. New procedures. How are they going to ensure that that is going to be somebody who's competent to be able to practice health care?
That worry has only increased after an Appleton man was charged Wednesday for claiming he was a doctor but had no medical license to treat patients or prescribe medication.
To think anybody can provide health care is becoming more and more complex today.
So that's my main thing is, like, this is for safety for everybody.
Georgie Halverson, owner of Elite Nail School in Madison, first contacted Target 2, worried health concerns in the cosmetology industry are being overlooked.
We work with tons of chemicals, so from the service provider to the client, there are issues, and there can be major injury from on both sides.
Halverson has spent the last several days calling lawmakers and both the current and incoming governors. Target 2 contacted them as well, but like Halverson, we haven't received a response yet.
I have to believe that DSPS, in doing this study, is going to come back, and there are professions out there that they're going to say, yes, there is definitely a need to have licensure.
Licensed engineer and Green Bay Public Works Director Steve Grenier hopes this gets no further than talk, arguing the ramifications are simply too severe. Target 2 also asked students about a cost burden and the eliminating of licensing.
I'm totally against it.
We found no one in support, all telling us you can't put a dollar value on that piece of paper. So what now? Anyone can take the survey between now and Monday. We did link to that at WBAY.com. DSPS then has until December 31st to submit a plan to the governor. We've requested that information as soon as it's complete. We'll stay on this and keep you updated on any decisions.
Detectives think they could be closing in on a break on a 14-year-old Green Bay cold case.
The answer could lie in these pictures. Are they the same person?
Beulah Ware disappeared from her Green Bay home in March of 2004.
And just days before she vanished, Beulah planned to visit her daughter in Illinois, but she never showed up. Police say Beulah was afraid and trying to leave town before her husband got out of jail. He reported her missing a few days after he was released.
He's now dead, and Beulah's disappearance is still a mystery until a new chapter opened several months ago. Target 2 investigator Sarah Thompson discovered the key to solving her missing persons case could lie in what were now missing remains. Sarah.
When we sat down with the Green Bay detective working Beulah Ware's case, we couldn't help but do the same thing you're probably doing, staring at her picture and the images created using facial recognition from a skull discovered in an abandoned home in Michigan. Could it really be Beulah? Her family thinks so.
That there was a very good comparison, that it really did resemble my mother a lot.
That was Noelle Harris's first reaction when she saw these images of Jane Doe. Noelle hasn't seen or heard from her mom since 2004, when Beulah called her, saying she was coming to Southern Illinois to visit, needing to leave Green Bay before her husband Tyrone was released from jail on domestic abuse charges.
Yeah, what I'm doing, I ain't no criminal.
She tells us her mom was a frequent victim of domestic violence and was afraid of Tyrone.
Oh, come on.
Noelle waited. Her mom never showed up.
Tyrone got out and reported my mother missing 2 days later.
Police labeled her disappearance suspicious and considered Tyrone Ware a primary person of interest. In 2007, Tyrone was hit by a drunk driver in Green Bay, impaled in a windshield and killed. Leads in Beulah's case went cold.
12,000 plus open unidentified.
That changed this year when Green Bay Police Detective Dave Groff was searching several of his cold cases on NamUs, a national database for missing people, unclaimed or unidentified remains.
I was looking at the Midwest.
Jane Doe popped on his computer screen. The similarities struck him.
The mouth, the nose, the eyes.
Not to mention the age, height, and poor or missing teeth also fit Beulah's description. A Michigan State Police forensic artist created the images using facial reconstruction of a skull discovered in Detroit in 2005, a little more than a year after Beulah went missing.
She was found nude in an abandoned residence, looked like she had been dragged in there, and it was mummified and skeletal remains.
Michigan authorities entered Jane Doe's profile in NamUs in 2010. But not until this year, on a new search, did Detective Groff see it. He called Michigan State Police, who created that reconstruction, looking for DNA, only to be told it was never taken. In 2005, they didn't have the technology to extract something called mitochondrial DNA from bones.
So they did what they could do at the time to identify the remains. Well, can you imagine also it's Detroit? So yes, I mean, what else can they do?
The Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office in Detroit tells Target 2 those remains were never identified. They were turned over to Perry Funeral Home for a county burial in 2008. But Groff still had hope he could get DNA from that skull. Then another problem.
Do they still have the skull?
It might be lost, quite honestly. I've had some contact and they said they looked around and they can't find it. Now, it could be buried, it might not be, I don't know.
How exactly do you lose a skull? And who lost it?
It might have ended up on, medical examiners, something, I don't know. They did look.
Target 2 asked the Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office and were told it can't comment on any missing body parts.
Sarah Thompson searches for the answer in a unique way.
Let's be honest. How many times have you or someone you know caught yourself staring at your phone oblivious to the rest of the world? It's probably more than the rest of us want to admit, but it gave us an idea. We asked a few dozen people to track their daily phone use for 1 week. The experience became an eye-opener for all of us.
I was kind of nervous, thinking, oh wow, I think I use my phone quite a bit.
When I first started looking at them, I was worried.
I can do without it, kind of.
31 people, men and women, teens to 50-somethings with diverse backgrounds, from students and stay-at-home moms to producers, professors, pastors, and many others, agreed to take part in our little experiment. There are lots of options, but we used 2 apps, Moment on iPhones and Quality Time on Androids, to track our daily use.
I think it's good to be aware.
I was a little bit surprised that it was as low as it was.
On average, each person in our group spends 3 hours a day on their smartphone.
I caught myself a couple times on my phone and my computer at the same time.
15% of the time they're awake is spent looking at this.
It's right next to me. I check it right before I go to bed. I check it as soon as I wake up in the morning.
The iPhone app also gives you this disturbing little fact. At the rate you're going, how many years of your life you'll spend on your phone. Our average, 7 years.
And mine said 5 years. I thought, my gosh, if I'm going to spend 5 years looking into this device, I wasn't good with that.
Our volunteers use their phones to watch movies, listen to music, or get directions, which boosts their times. But they admit there's plenty of Facebook and Instagram use too.
A lot of it's mindless for me, I think.
Even when you're not on your phone, it appears we can't ignore it.
It does cause some anxiety if I don't look. I've solved that with a smartwatch.
In our experiment, people picked up their phones an average of 48 times a day. That's about every 20 minutes.
You hear, and then you can see them like try and resist. They're like, no, don't check it, don't. And then they check it. It's just, I think it is an addiction that we have.
We are absolutely addicted to our phones. People who are addicted to gambling or alcohol or drugs, you get that same release of pleasure hormones and chemicals in your brain that make you want to do it over and over again.
Dr. Lynn Wagner believes all that screen time is affecting our health.
So we're just losing this whole beautiful part of ourselves and our spirit, I would say.
Dr. Wagner says we're missing interaction with people.
The dentist doesn't even call anymore. I can't remember the last time I talked on the phone.
In our little study, only 8 people even used their phone to talk to someone. She agrees technology is good, but we all need limits.
I know this sounds pathetic, but I feel naked without my phone. It's like a part of my body. So like it goes everywhere I go. Say someone calls me and they're like, oh, I forgot my key. I would like take my phone and my key just in case like my key like all of a sudden like explodes and dies. At least I have my phone so I can call someone to get me back in here.
All laughing aside, there's some truth to that feeling of being in the know.
There's definitely a neurologic thing that happens that triggers that need to look at it, and it has to do with fight or flight, fear.
So what do we do about it? Dr. Wagner has some good advice on setting boundaries, especially for those of us that bring our work home on our phones every night. We'll look at that and how our volunteers are making changes tomorrow night.
Limit it.
Dr. Lynn Wagner says not having an off switch just isn't good for us.
It doesn't ever give you that downtime, so we all need this balance between our activated, intense, working type of our brain and our body, but we also need that downtime.
In order to be productive and creative and all the things bosses want, she says we need time away, even from that quick, I'll just check my email for a minute at home.
Well, they email you and you reply right away. When you reply to texts right away. When you reply to work stuff in the evening hours, the people that are sending them get used to you responding and they think, oh, she's always available, so she won't care if I do it again. And so it's going to affect your evening hours, it's going to affect your relationships with your family, it's going to affect your sleeping hours, and then over time, you're just going to wear out and burn out, basically.
So like we tell kids, Dr. Wagner says setting boundaries is a good start.
If you catch yourself going down that slippery slope of like the first thing you do when you wake up is you go on social media or you check your email or you're scrolling through the news feed, just start to watch your habits and then set parameters.
Many of the 31 volunteers in our experiment needed only to see their daily phone use in hours staring back at them to want a change.
I love it. I love it because I've really reduced my phone usage. But here's what I did: is that when I was going to pick up my phone, I asked myself, "Am I doing it for a good purpose?" And if it's yep, then I would pick it up and use it. But if it's like, okay, I'm just going to go browse Facebook, then I'd leave it down.
Change won't come overnight.
I'm still gonna be on my phone for 5 hours a day, I guess. Yesterday was only 3 hours though.
But at least it's a start.
So it's just being aware and then making changes and parameters and knowing that you're not going to be perfect and continuously trying to rein yourself in.
Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News, Green Bay.
I would not participate in this study.
Yeah, you should.
I know. I actually sent Sarah an email probably a couple of weeks ago, work related, at like 5 in the morning, and she emailed me back. She laughed because we were both up at that time, but yeah. It's bad. It really is. You have to put some boundaries on.
Bring back the rotary phones.
Right.
That's in my garage.
Right. We all need a little bit of that.